The Fearless Podcast, in a time of deceit, telling the truth, is a revolutionary act. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Fearless Podcast. This is episode 47.
Episode 47. Good to be here. And we are in the most rainiest season I think we've ever experienced here in Texas.
In a decade.
And we've been here for literally a decade. And man, it is the rainiest, coolest spring we've ever been able to actually experience. And it is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And anybody that has moved to Texas y'all are getting spoiled rotten right now because this is not natural.
No, this is unnatural.
Climate change.
It's very good. And
climate change is alive and well.
It's changing. Yeah.
Who would have thunk it? But
all right, y'all. So we'll jump right into Around the Farm. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on around
the farm. Everything's been doing good. I went over to the ranch today, and oh my goodness, it's insane. The grass is just incredible. I mean, it's growing. It's definitely the best grass we've ever had over there. It's over 2 foot tall, which is great. I need to go ahead and fix the one front gate so I can get some cows out on it because I got all the cows in the back. So I got to dedicate some time for that. We were supposed to be doing some brush mulching on last week. We dedicated 2 days out of our schedule to go rent a shredder because we still had 2 days left on it from our awesome rental place out in where's that out in? I forget, but it'll come back to me. Awesome guy, Nick. And yeah, so anyway, so that didn't happen because we went out there and the machine was actually in the shop. But come to find out, it's going to be the parts coming in on Tuesday, and he's just going to come out and deliver the machine to us, so we don't even have to go out there again. So
very nice,
very, very generous guy, awesome guy,
customer service,
big time customer service. Very happy about that. Then of other things that have been happening around the farm, trying to think. Oh, we installed new nest boxes yesterday.
They're working beautifully.
Yeah, we had the old style chicken house nest boxes kind of retrofitted in there, and just needed something new. And we are testing out a knockoff of the best nest box brand rolling egg nest boxes.
So far, so good.
So we're gonna see how they hold up, if it's gonna get really gross in there or not. So we're gonna trial and error. So we're gonna see.
And I'm gonna redesign the front of the chicken coop so that right now it's like a hoop house, so it's got limited headroom. So I'm gonna make an 8-foot front. Basically, it's gonna be 8 foot tall, 4 foot wide. I'm sorry, it's going to be 8 foot. Yeah, it'll be 8 foot wide, 8 foot tall, and 4 foot deep.
Okay.
And I'll do the chicken tractor on steroids, the round compost bin in there. I'm going to move the nest box forward.
But it's not going to move though.
No.
It's going to be stationary.
Yeah. And then we'll redesign the watering system, and it'll be very easier to manage. The eggs will be easier to get.
Because William over from the Permaculture Consultants channel has inspired a plethora, him and his dad, Billy, over there at the Permapastures Farms, easy for you to say. And they both made composting videos last week, and it's inspired a lot of people to start composting. But we are going to use the power of chickens instead of us flipping the piles, which you can integrate your workout into flipping the piles, which is great. But if you have chickens, dude, just, make your ring. And chickens absolutely love the grass clippings. So we're going to use the power of the chickens, harness that power, and they won't just be good for laying eggs. They will be excellent compost makers. So very exciting news. Also, um, we are going to be redesigning our watering system for the chickens too. Right now, currently, awesome design. Definitely homemade. But we have 100 gallons of water for the chickens to drink out of, and that's two
We have a lot
50.
of chickens, y'all.
Yeah, we have two 50-gallon trash cans with nipplers in the side of them that they can peck and get the water out. And we've learned over, over a decade of homesteading, raising critters, especially chickens, that is the way to go. The way to go, period. If you don't have that many chickens, just do it in a 5-gallon bucket. Go onto Amazon. They're called chicken water nipples. And if you just type that up, you can find them in like a 25 pack. 20 Get the 25 pack because some over the years they'll break or something silly like that, they'll clog up. But I highly recommend that. And it's kind of we kind of took Farmer Brad's design and just scaled it to like Texas size, like gigantic, so when we leave on vacation or out of town for like a week, they're like fine,
Set.
they're set. But we're going to modify it and move the 2 containers. We're going to upgrade them to 55-gallon drums. We're going to move those outside, correct? Outside of the chicken coop, so they can't get on them.
Honestly, 2 are probably overkill. We'll probably just do one.
Probably just do one. We're gonna have one, and we're gonna move it outside of the coop, have a PVC pipe fitting run from the tank into the coop into a T. So then there'll be a big PVC pipe and put 2 caps on it and then drill the nipples into that so they can't perch on it, because they're perching on top of the water on top of the trash cans, and they have lids on them and everything like that. But then they poop on them, and then they kind of get nasty. So anyway, so we're going to try to make it a little bit nicer, a little bit of a facelift.
Put a metal shed roof on it, and a gutter that'll catch rain, and
funnel
we'll
it
run
into
that
it.
to the water.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
so we're gonna be taking a little bit of Marty Rainey inspiration too.
We will probably video it, hopefully. And
Marty Rainey is always trying to make a gutter system to feed into the chicken water. So a little bit of inspiration from him there. But yeah, chicken coops getting a facelift. It's needed it for a little bit here. It's just one of those things, you just kind of build upon your knowledge as you learn it, and you just refine it, and make it nicer.
And speaking of William, the permaculture consultant, we are teaming up. We're doing a homestead meetup this Saturday at Grumpy's Garden Club. That's in Gladewater, Texas. You can go to grumpysgardenclub.com and get all the information. We'll be there probably from 10 to 12. And we've already had 5 to 10 people say that they're looking forward to it, that they're going to be there.
It's going to be awesome.
So that's going to be awesome.
That's
one of our meetups this month. Another meetup this month should be at the Exit and Build Land Summit 4. You can see the links down below. That is the weekend of the May 17th. And so all
types of cool people are going to be there.
We'll probably be there Friday and Saturday. Joel Salatin's going to be there. Mike Adams is going to be there.
JP Sears,
JP Spears, Derek Bros, a lot of Jack Spearco, Nicole Sauce. There's going to be lots of
cool people there.
Information there. And so we're looking forward to that. It looks
like chickens are going to be there. So there you go.
Yeah, we're going to be able to make it happen. So that is the May 17th. We'll be there May 17th and 18th. So check that out.
Yeah.
And we are looking forward to that. We're excited about that.
Definitely.
Trying to think of anything new around the farm. We got a new buggy.
Yeah, we got a new buggy. So it's one of those things that it's so cool, when we were little kids, us 3 boys, we had Mr. Larry, and Mr. Larry and Melanie, and they had the Longhorns, and we would ride around and pick goat weeds and put them in the back of their buggy, and pick up hay string and put it in there, and ride in the back, and it was so much fun, and always thinking as little kids, like, oh, one day it would be so nice to, get one of these, that'd be so cool. And, I don't know how many people know, but I think I mentioned it a couple podcasts ago that Mr. Larry passed away not that long ago. And anyway, so Miss Melanie's downsizing. She's selling off the ranch and things like that. And yesterday, um, well, I forget, like a month after Larry had passed away, us boys were like, huh, I wonder what they're going to be doing with their buggy. And if you don't know what a buggy, we call it a buggy, but it's a UTV side by side, and it's a Honda Big Red. And, all they've used it for is every, once or twice a month, they'll putz around in it, kind of like a go-kart, like a golf cart, and, pick up branches and stuff like that. So we asked Miss Melanie yesterday, and we're like, hey, what y'all thinking about doing with the buggy? Are y'all going to keep it? Or are you going to sell it? And she was like, well, actually, I think we would probably want to sell it. I'm like, well, just give us a price on it, a fair price on it, and, we'll probably pick it up. And she did. And yeah, it was awesome. And we picked it up. And yeah, it's just so cool, being able to have it. And then she still had the original manual and then Mr. Larry's like signature actually on the business card from the Honda dealership because in 2009 they pre-ordered one and then they got it in 2010 and they splurged on it. And get this, y'all, back in 2010 they paid $10,000 for it. So I mean, wow. It was, it was the most, it was all of it, forget what, it gave, it was the Fizz, the Wrangler Star Fizz. And yeah, and they kept it underneath the cover. So all the plastics are still good, still has the original tires on it and they're still good. So big blessing. Definitely a cool thing because I think it's just awesome, when you are in one place and the deals that you can get in your community, because we've been here for almost a decade, 9 years or so on this homestead. And, everybody, what everybody has, to barter and stuff. And then when something like this, a deal pops up, that's how you get those good deals on stuff. And I just think it's awesome.
And this is why we want to do these meetups.
Yeah.
This is why we want to expand and build and
collaborate,
grow our local community, collaborate, barter.
Yeah.
And this is what
trade
we're trying
knowledge,
to do. So that's why we look forward to these events. That's why we're trying to foster our own events and work like that. So that's
and it's exciting. Not just going to be us there. William is going to be there too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah, so I think that's about it for that's not all.
That's not all.
Somebody got a taco.
We got a taco, y'all. So this was a busy week. Okay. This was a busy, it's one of those things that everything happens in 1 week. It's like, same old, and then boom, it's like everything happens 1 week. So yes, 2 days ago on Friday, us boys it feels like we're perpetually looking for trucks, and
feel that way.
It always feels like that. It's terrible. I'm very thankful that we're no longer in that point in life for now. And so we have the big truck, the 350, and then we have 2 other trucks, F-150s. And we sold James's one, and that was big, praise the Lord. I'm selling mine. Lord willing, I'll be able to get that sold. And then we sold a little bumper pull trailer. So we had a little bit of cash saved up. And then from doing all of our construction jobs and the construction business doing great, we're like, we need to find a good, reliable truck that we can put a bunch of miles on it. And it's going to be a company truck. But so we were going back down the F-150 road. And man, everybody I kept talking to with these new F-150s, they said, as soon as they hit 100,000 miles, it's downhill from there. And I'm like, man, this is when everybody sells them is at 100,000 miles. So it's a coin flip. They're either great and they'll get you to 200, 300,000 miles, or they're not. The cams go out and stuff like that. So we look at a couple F-150s, and they're expensive. And then trying to be like, okay, well, we got to be fine with paying all this money. And then if the cam phasers go out on this thing, dude, we're going to be up the creek like another $5,000-$6,000 or more. So we backed off that. We're like, let's look for uh, RAV4, a Toyota RAV4, because we went down the car road, because great fuel economy and they'll run forever.
Yeah.
And, I've learned over purchasing vehicles, it's a waiting game. You wait it out. We're in this really interesting market right now where stuff is like you can get good deals and stuff is still selling kind of quickly. It's kind of interesting market,
I don't know if y'all just heard that, but that was
That
some
was-
very loud thunder.
That was a loud thunder. And anyway, so we kept contemplating, and we're like, well, you know what? We probably should still get some type of small truck just in case the bigger truck breaks down and we need to keep working, of course, and we need to be able to have something that has enough beans to pull our little box trailer around that has all of our tools in it. So we were looking at a Honda Ridgeline and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you can't beat a Toyota pickup truck. You just can't. It's period. Bar none. They're the best pickup truck ever for a little pickup truck. They are. They're just great. And either the Tundra or the the Tacoma. The difference is the Tundra gets terrible gas mileage, but it's a beast of a truck, and but the Tacoma is kind of like it's there's no real downside to it. You get good fuel mileage and it can tow a little bit of stuff, And so we kept looking and looking and looking, and man, they want close to $30,000 for these Tacomas. And I get it. They will last forever, but
used
$30,000. And normally if you did find one for less than $30,000, it had 200,000+ miles on it. Literally, there was one for 200,000 miles for 20 grand. So also a good investment vehicle because they hold their stinking value too, which is great. So anyway, kept looking, kept praying about it. And Dad was like, you got your money, you have a working truck, you're in no rush. Just sit, wait, the deal will come. So anyway, Friday afternoon, James is a shopper, man. He's always on the ball, always looking for the next deal, which is good and bad at the same time. Cause I'm like, James, stop, stop looking. But that's how you get the good deals sometimes, And he's like, Matt, here's a great deal. It's 7 hours ago posted. And we looked at it and I'm like, hey, I'm like, call him up. I'm like, it checks out. It sounds good. And it was, that he wanted 20 for it. And it had less than 100,000 miles. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just checking off the boxes. And he was an hour away. We were finding decent, kind of better deals, but they're like 2.5 hours away, way out in Dallas. So anyway, so I'm like, hey, call him up. We'll go check it out this evening. And we went out, checked it out. Great little truck, zero rust. The truck was made in Texas, made in the United States, made in Texas. So, I mean, this thing was clean underneath, y'all. Super, super clean, very clean inside. It was a trade-in. And the only downside of the truck is that it had a little bit of hail damage on it from the last hailstorm. And then the guy traded it in. And the only place that you can see the hail damage is a little bit on the hood and then on the back, the bed cover.
Tonneau cover, yeah.
Insulated
tonneau cover.
Yeah.
So it's aluminum.
So anyway, so we're driving around in this thing and Dad's in the back and he winds down the back window. Well, the back window doesn't wind back up because this guy was pretty firm on 20,000, and I really wanted to get it for a little bit less than 20,000. So we come back and the window doesn't roll up. It's total God thing. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And, so we're like, look, 19,000 bucks cash and we'll fix the window. It's like, okay, I'll do that. $19,000 cash. So, and get this. So we're driving home, we fuel it up. Right. And I'm just, buzzing through YouTube and Buddy's like, hey, click on that one. And I'm like, that's a Nissan video. Why would this is a Toyota? Why would we want a Nissan video? But he's like, just watch it. Yeah. So we watch it and he's like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, this happens all the time with my old square body Nissans, he's like, I've owned 4 of them. He's like, just hold up on the window button, hold up on it like you're going to wind it up, and then slam the door. And he's like, if it's out of alignment, that'll normally knock it back in the track. Well, buddy does it. He slams the door like 3 times, and on the third one, it went, and it went right up. And we're like, oh my goodness, that was like totally a God thing.
Saved
like,
you $1,000.
so, and we saved $1,000. And I was just like, that's awesome. That's super cool. And always great when, those things happen. And then I had my Ford mechanic buddy, Spencer, come out and check it. And he just affirmed that it was totally a God thing and that it was a great deal because he checked the codes. It had no codes, no history of it ever having codes. And he's like, well, there you go. He's like, it's a great truck,
Yeah, and then we were able to go online today and buy a factory painted hood with the factory color delivered for about $700.
About $700. So
that'll, relatively speaking, eliminate all the cosmetic.
Yeah, so we saved the $1,000 and then we were able to just buy a hood for it, which is great because that's the only part that you can really see the hail damage unless you're looking at the bed, So just a big praise the Lord. And
that was cool.
Really, really awesome. So
now you have another truck.
Oh my goodness. Like I needed another truck. But so definitely thankful. So if anybody else is out there in the car market looking for vehicles and you have your money saved up, just wait for the deals. They're out there. Trust me.
The deals will come.
Good deals will come. But anyway, that was 20 minutes right there.
Yeah, wow. That was involved. You're a lot like your mother.
I am like my mother, but man, I know
there's all the way around the barn.
All the way around the barn. So sorry about that.
So y'all, that was around the farm.
Around the barn.
Before we get into health check, just want to remind y'all to go over to TheTexasBoys.com. This is a value for value proposition. If you get any value out of this and you appreciate it, check out TheTexasBoys.com. If you are looking for a local beef pickup, make sure you're on our mailing list. We sold out our last cow. And that was great. We really enjoyed getting to meet our customers on that one.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and make a waiting list. And then as soon as we hit, 3 or 4 people, depending on what cuts they want, if they want halves, quarters, or wholes, then we'll just go ahead and then take the cow to the butcher shop, So that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah. And that'll be more seamless. It should make the whole process turn around quicker. It worked really well this time.
Yeah.
So
and everybody was happy with their beef.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. Yeah. I think we're try-failing and adjusting, and we just keep, we're getting a little bit better every time, learning something new every time.
Yep.
Figuring out how to split it when it's in quarters with the organs. We're going to try to start splitting that stuff up a little bit with
everything
some
like that,
bones and all that good stuff.
So everybody's getting a little mixture of everything.
We're figuring it all out.
Try, fail, and
it's the same thing with our coffee and tea products. I mean, it's just us. This isn't
this ain't Amazon, y'all.
Transnational corporation.
We mess up on something, and, we try to make it right, but we're not robots or machines over here, So
we're not backed by the banks of the world, so we're independently affluent or whatever. But we do appreciate the love and support. We love our customers. Looking forward to meeting y'all at Grumpy's this weekend or at the Exit and Build Land Summit.
Yep.
So let's get right into health check. What's your health check?
Health check, doing great. Hand is doing
your puncture wound
much better. Also, I got in my wrist straps. Absolutely been loving them. My wrist has pretty much fully healed from my last little tweak that I had with it a couple weeks ago. Definitely setting some more personal bests with bench, and then with even with curls. I've gotten up to 125 pounds still on the bar and Olympic bar, and then doing that 10 reps. So definitely really loving that. Still experimenting with mixing around my different training routines, so instead of doing them exactly the same every single time, I've seen a little bit better hypertrophy when mixing it up. So instead of starting my workouts with push-ups every time, if I'll go ahead and do maybe bench press or something like that, I've definitely seen a little bit of an increase in hypertrophy from that. But then also, this was really cool. I was able to get my 50-pound, uh, dumbbell in each hand. I was able to get that up to from 15 to 20 now for a rep. So that's really
great.
cool. And I was able to do that for 3 sets. So that's really cool.
Safely with your shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's just the biggest blessing ever that I had the second surgery, because prior to that, it would clunk around,
Yeah, your shoulder's stable.
and it's stable as a rock now. It's biggest blessing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, other than that, still doing, bumped up my, weighted shrugs to, 100, and I'm doing 150 reps. But I need to get heavier weights too. But yeah, I've been doing
We're
that.
gonna get a weight sled from Vivor.
Yeah.
Probably gonna get that this week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing more lower body stuff just to
Sure.
I thought I was getting inflammation, but what I was doing is
this is your health check now.
I started regressing with my shoulder, and I couldn't quite figure out why, because I was eating super clean, eating like ribeyes and sirloins like once or twice a day. And I'm like,
living like a king.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand. I'm eating this premium food, and
living
I feel really great, but I just got all this aches and pains coming back. And when you have this type of degenerative thing that you've dealt with for 7 years, it kind of gives you flashbacks and whatnot. And so what I started doing is I was like, well, I should start with my hanging exercises. I should start timing them. And what I found is that as soon as I extended the duration past like a minute or a minute and a half to complete failure, like a lot of my mobility came back, and all of the tension and tightness and middle back pain and neck pain went away. So now, and I do have wrist straps. So sometimes I hang with wrist strap, because when you're hanging to failure, you just can't hang as frequently. And so, and the other thing is I get these huge calluses that I literally have to like
file
down paper, because they literally just get super thick and then crack. And because they just, because I try to hang like 10 times a day or whatever. But now my hanging duration is about a minute and a half to 2 minutes.
That's great.
And it's just like getting back to where I was, where I felt like totally pain-free, inflammation-free, and all that stuff. So,
and your sleeping's been good?
Yeah, sleep's been good. And that just happened this week. So that was like a super breakthrough for me, because I really felt kind of like I was going backwards a little bit. And so that's great. That's my health check. I'm going to start doing the weighted sled, probably pushing and pulling. I love that kind of stuff. So looking forward to that. But that's my health check.
Awesome.
Still eating the meat, still no scurvy, still no colon cancer.
Nope.
Feeling good, sleeping good.
So cholesterol's good.
Cholesterol's good. Oh, I am doing I'm doing a dozen egg yolks now in my on my Texas Boys instant mushroom coffee.
Dude,
I do a dozen egg yolks, and sometimes that's twice a day. So today I had 2 dozen egg yolks.
Raw.
Yeah.
Blended up
in the
is that like coffee. Syrup thick?
No, it's just normal viscosity. It doesn't reach some terminal, because it's 32 ounces. So.
Dozen eggs. Wow.
1 dozen egg yolks.
Woo.
Without the whites,
Man.
Yeah.
Protein packed.
It's nutrient dense.
Man, you're going to be eating yourself like your body weight to protein ratio. That's going to be good.
I'm trying to up my protein. And it's funny, because when you do it, it just immediately starts to lean you out. You can feel it, and you feel good, and that's the whole point, is to do it to feel good, and to be able to do more and accomplish more and achieve more.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. From going from literally bedridden to this is like incredible.
Yeah, it's miraculous. And I thank God, God's
Yep.
good. And I'm very thankful that he had mercy upon me, and that I can at least function,
Opening the doors to being able to learn all this cool new stuff, you know?
Yeah. And that being said, if keep your eye out, I will have Dr. Anthony Chafee on the podcast. So we're going to record on Friday. He's in Australia. So we're going to record really early. So I'll probably post it. We probably won't go live because it's going to be like 8:00 our time.
Yeah.
And, but that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. I appreciate his information. And let's jump into verse of the day. So the verse of the day is Philippians 2, 9 through 11.
Yeah.
Wherefore God also hath highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, of things in heaven, of things in earth, and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Now that speaks for itself. But that is where our hope is, and that is the hope for mankind, and that is the truth. And we are looking forward to Christ's return, and I hope that those verses encourage you today. So our main topic, we're going to listen to a video.
Yeah.
This video blurb popped up somewhere in my feed, and it's a real quick video. It was incredibly interesting.
And I think it's literally the first ever Joe Rogan clip I've ever heard with him not cursing in it. So there you go.
Oh, and there's that, which is one of the only reasons why I selected it.
Because if there was cursing we would not be listening to it right now.
Yeah, I don't.
So I appreciate that.
Promote Joe Rogan or anything, but I thought this was excellent.
No, this is very interesting.
I thought this would be a really good topic to discuss.
Yeah,
and
Joe Rogan and
Tucker Carlson.
Old Tucker. Yeah.
So this is like 3.5 minutes. Well, like almost 4 minutes. We're going to let it play through.
Yep. Not interrupted.
And then we're going to talk about this.
If evolution is real, and if there is this constant, I don't know, but it's visible. Like you can measure it in certain animals.
You can measure adaptation.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence that in fact, I think we've kind of given up on the idea of evolution. The theory of evolution as articulated by Darwin is like kind of not true. Right?
In what sense?
Well, in the most basic sense, the idea that, all life emerged from a single cell organism and over time, and there would be a fossil record of that, and there's not. And
there's not a fossil record of transitionary species, like species that are adapting to its environment.
There's tons of record of adaptation, and you see it in your own life. I mean, I have a lot of dogs. I see adaptation in dogs, through the litter to litter. But no, there's no evidence at all zero, that, people, evolve seamlessly from a single cell amoeba. No, there's not. There's no chain in the fossil record of that at all. And that's why you don't actually hear you hear them make reference to evolution, because the theory of adaptation is obviously true. But Darwin's theory's totally, that's why it's still a theory almost 200 years later, no, we've not found that at all. And I can't even guess. I mean, I have my own theories on it, but they're not proven.
What are your theories?
God created people, distinctly, and animals. I mean, I think what every person on Earth thought until the mid-19th century, actually.
Right, but
it's not a new idea.
They didn't have computers. They didn't have a general understanding that we have today of the process.
Do you think we understand more now?
Yes.
Really?
You don't think that we understand more today?
We understand way less. We understand so little that we're actually sitting here allowing like a bunch of greedy, stupid, childless software engineers in Northern California to like flirt with the extinction of mankind. So no, previous generations would be like, what? No, stop. And we're not doing that because
but they wouldn't have done that even with the nuclear bomb. I mean, obviously the Manhattan Project was done in secrecy, but they wouldn't have stopped it because the imperative of getting this weapon before Hitler got the weapon was what it was.
Well, Hitler was kind of
mind.
done by then. The Russians had pretty much extinguished any hope that that would continue. But
not
but
at
no,
the
but we were,
beginning of
you know,
the
we were in the middle of
project.
the logic of war.
At the commencement of the Manhattan Project.
For sure. But the logic was the same, and it was, 4 years of got to beat the other guy, got it. And I don't mean to sound too judgmental about the bomb. I know why they built it. Okay. But you just wonder why nobody in the middle of that thought, is this really a good? And some of them did think it.
I'm sure they did.
Yes,
I mean,
did.
Oppenheimer himself.
Of course, large organizations don't respond to the moral qualms of individuals very well. So that was whatever. It's well known what happened. But no, we should pause and ask, is the machine we're building worth having? And nobody seems to do that.
All right, y'all. So this brings up a lot of really great questions, and I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to get a young man like Matt's perspective on this. And I don't know how many of y'all are aware, but there has been a lot of work, even politically, about lies in the textbooks. And there are all of these evolutionary proofs that have been promulgated through time for the last 100 years, whether it's Peltdown Man, whether it's Lucy, whether it's all of these embryonic phases that have been completely and utterly disproven. They're absolutely false, yet they are a part of the propaganda programming in the government school systems, because that is how you create good worker bees and good cogs in the Prussian system, so that you're a good employee, that you're a good cog in the machine, and that you worship the state and all these different things. And what's really fascinating, one, I think a little bit humorous, is how a matter of a fact, I appreciate the fact that Tucker was saying this as a matter of fact, that nobody holds to this, because in reality, nobody does hold to this anymore. Even super God haters like Richard Dawkins are promoting like transpermia, and we were seeded here by aliens. It couldn't be an omnipotent God creator.
That'd be too simple.
Yeah, that's way too controversial. It has to be space aliens and transpermia. They transpermeated all this crazy like crossover David Icke stuff. But anyway, what's real interesting with all of this is you want to know how we got here today, right? And it's interesting how Tucker said, in the mid 1900s, right, that nobody believed this stuff up until this, all this eugenics, all of these very incredibly racist people like Darwin, like Huxley, like the usual white suspects that created all of this critical theory. The Frankfurt School, they created critical theory, critical race theory, the critical text theory,
all old white guys,
all of this transitional species, And so you want to know why we have transitional and trans testicle people today, is because it's predicated upon all this higher evolution, And another thing that is debunking evolution is just the natural depravity of man. And as man races towards its own extinction, a
great falling away. Man.
Yeah, a great extinction event, that they're going to extinct themselves by their own stupidity and by their own hatred of themselves. Like, like all these white people that hate being white, and it's all this self-hate. And then for the sake of this supposed climate change thing, we're going to like deep six everything,
sacrifice ourselves to the climate change gods,
sacrifice ourselves on the altar of climate change, and and use our white guilt and all these different
and I'm all for like not burning plastic and stuff like that in my backyard, but like all the rest of this crap, about like the whole Mother Gaia stuff, man, people worship that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. And it's by design, and it is a religion. And this is all incredibly religious, and all this Malthusian these Fabian socialists, these Malthusian people haters that want to reduce. They've been wanting to reduce the population, and it's
the Ouroboros. I mean,
and it's all been
snake's
eugenicist.
Gonna come back and eat its own tail, y'all, and that you can see it literally doing it in real time. You know,
and then Tucker just like matter-of-factly points out, like, yeah, we've never seen or have been able to experience evolution. We can see and experience adaptation.
Yep.
We can see what they would call probably maybe micro evolution, is we'd see like changes in species, but we've never ever seen or experienced a trans species crossover.
No.
And the other thing that we would, if species did transition into other species, there would be all kinds of transitional species everywhere. There, I mean, how could this take millions and billions of years, but then spontaneous
throughout the millions and billions of years, like there's no carcasses that are, you know,
that aren't fabricated,
fossilized, and, like do what?
Like Lucy and all these other supposed Neanderthal. And
I'm not like perfectly like I don't perfectly remember it like super clear, so don't like 100% quote me on it. But I do know this one thing that was super crazy. There was a article that came out a couple of years ago, and they actually found like blood vessels. I don't know if they were still alive or whatever with the dinosaur bones. And I'm like, well, if they are millions or billions of years old, people were saying, well, these blood vessels couldn't still be alive or like still there or whatever.
Yeah, they were frozen.
Yeah.
And they were cryoed.
And it was incredible.
And they were still viable.
And I'm like,
they found lots of stuff.
I know. I know. And I'm like, and you're going to try to tell me that this earth is like millions or billions of years old. And I'm like, I just don't see that.
Well, they found human prints with dinosaur tracks,
and like, heck, the human eyeball, as intelligent as we think we are as human beings, and that we're getting, bigger, brighter, faster, it's actually the direct opposite of that. They still don't know how in the world the eyeball works. And they cannot, it is a, how would they say it? It is a, it's impossible for evolution for your eyeball to evolve. Like it's
Darwin said that in his book too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, and
but we just accept it on faith. You know, if we're going to be good statists and we're going to worship the state,
I think a lot of these scientists, there's been many articles of the deeper that they do look into certain things, the more and more it points straight back to God, being the creator, even like the eclipse and different things like that, just everything points back to him.
It has to be intelligently designed for a purpose.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And the more and more they keep trying to make this mathematical equation that, this chance of the Big Bang and stuff like that happening, more and more zeros keep having to be added to the end of it, of that number, of the possibility of it even happening, the deeper we do dig into certain things that are created, on this planet. And it's just, it's so simple just to believe that there was a creator that created all of this. That's just so simple. And it is crazy that there are people that just want to deny God and that there was a creator of this whole entire universe and that it was all created to glorify him. Yeah. And it's just, there's God haters out there, Yeah.
And what's bigger than that in a sense is that all of this God hating propaganda has been printed and foisted on us by our government in this federal government education system, all this McGruff and Houghton Mifflin, and they're just reprinting lie after lie in these ultra expensive propaganda books that are just completely false. They're objectively false, and they are to turn their civilization into good state worshiping statists that deny God and need all of their help and all of their advancement and all their help from their state. And that's how the state becomes God. And this is the communists' manifesto. This is the communist ideal that has created the communist dystopia that we now live in,
atheists,
predicated on a total and complete lie. So if that is the case, and if that is true, and our government education or propaganda programming system has went to these great lengths to propagate this lie, which now as people continue to look and study are like, wait a minute, this is absolutely not true. But yeah, but we got it. You know, I went to government schools, and my biology teacher, she was like, oh, I have to teach this stuff, but I don't believe it, which was a complete half truth, because she didn't, you know, she was a professing Christian, but she was all on board with her evolution and all this stuff. And, you know, and it's really sad. And how many Christians that want to operate inside the state apparatus, and they're willing to sell their soul for the sake of their stupid teaching job. All these Christians that supposedly work in government schools, right? Their principals and their public school teachers, how that doesn't destroy your soul. You are part of the problem. You're not a shining light in that cesspool.
I'm sorry.
You are a cog in the commie machine.
It is vile.
And it's terrible. And there's no redeeming quality.
For you to tell me that it is not vile, it is vile. What comes out of those little kids' mouths?
There's no redeeming quality. It's a failed state.
Is disgusting.
It's a failed system. It's a failed state. It's a failed program. It's predicated on 90% absolute lies, complete falsehoods,
totally artificial.
That's why the kids have scrambled eggs for brains, because they teach them all this junk. And, you know, you evolve from the monkey, and you used to think you're a dude, and now you're a chick and whatever. You know, and this is how.
And if you're white, you know, you should feel bad and want to kill yourself because, you know,
because you're a
colonizer,
the impetus of everything that is wrong with everything in society is because of you, even
your color.
You've just been trying to mind your own business and like grow blueberries and whatever. Like, hey man, I'm cool. Leave me alone. Like, don't mess with me. I won't mess with you. You know? But I mean, so the bigger question to all of this is, with this gigantic lie that has been funded with billions and trillions of dollars, and mass produced, and reprinted and crammed down our throat. Like, how, once you start questioning that, like, how come you wouldn't question absolutely? I mean, we're talking about 1900s. Right. And if the government has been propagating lies that long, and as we go back and look at these, and look at World War I and World War II and these different false flag events and Gulf of Tonkin, right? And every major war event, and how we were, you know, Pearl Harbor and the foreknowledge of the attack on Pearl Harbor and all these different things. Like, when you're living in the time and you're just getting the information, it's very easy to be sucked into it and deceived by the propaganda. But when you look back retrospectively and you have all of the data and all of the history, and then you're like, wait a minute, no, this was a setup. This was a completely fabricated, this was manufactured consent. And so you look at all this manufactured consent through, you know, World War I, World War II. You could even you could go back to the Civil War and find manufactured 100%. Consent, and, you know, Rothschilds and all, and the Jesuits and all this different kind of crazy stuff. And then so you go forward in time: World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, War, you know, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, and now Ukraine and Israel. How are any of these wars any different than all those wars? They're all bankers' wars. They're all completely unjustified. They are all an abomination to God. And it's just death, destruction, mayhem, just the collateral damage of innocent people. And what's really interesting is, you know, they even brought up the nuclear bomb. And that was all predicated upon this mutual destruction, and we need to do this before. Now, here's the crazy thing. If you study that whole nuclear bomb thing and all of those that were responsible with creating it, and there was people that were involved in the process, and they were like, well, we got to do this before the Russians do it. But then they were the ones that leaked the information to the Russians.
No way.
And now magically we've had this supposed ally in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons, and they were the only one until Iran had got nuclear capabilities to have nuclear weapons in the Middle East. And they were also the ones that were largely responsible for creating the technology and all these different things. So there's just this enormous amount of conflicting information, and we can't continue to be blind and just act like, even Joe and Tucker, like, oh, I understand why they were, I understand why they did it. No, we can't. We can't continue to justify that, because there's all kind of guys, and they'll always go back to this whole nuke thing, right? Like who's the AI guy that's almost like a robot? Lex Friedman, right? And I forget who he had on, and they were talking about the nuclear bomb, and but you got to understand, it was all about this mutual destruction, and if we can create this, it'll create this stalemate forever, and actually the complete obliteration is what's you're going to create peace and safety out of being able to nuke the world. And I mean, it's just so.
Yeah. And that tied right into the schools of like teaching kids to like duck underneath the table if a nuclear bomb was going to hit.
Propaganda.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, that's going to save your life.
Right. No, that's just there to create mind scars so that you're in fear.
Yep.
And when you're in fear, you're easily programmed. Your cortisol levels are high. That's going to kill your immune system. It's going to make you susceptible to disease and to whatever else they're doing. And it's going to put you in a traumatized state so that you have what's that?
And this might sound like crazy to certain people, but that's how wicked the devil is. And that's how smart he is, that like everything that's been taking place here on earth, that's how
he's the prince and the power.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah, he's not bound, unfortunately.
No, sadly not. But he literally has his fingers in everything, and especially when it comes to all the government stuff, he is in it.
Like, the Prince of Tyre, man. He's
rolling
the guy,
around
dude. He's been the guy.
And like there's people, that they'll start connecting the dots, and they're like, man, wonder who's the mastermind behind this whole entire thing. Wonder who's the guy up at the top of the pyramid, that's on our dollar bill.
Yeah, he used to have a seat in Pergamos, And so he's very familiar with the territory, with the inner workings.
He's had thousands of years to perfect this. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and it's the same beat, terrible Hollywood story over and over again. And it's just, it's completely unbelievable. And yet people continue to fall for it.
And you see it in the Bible. Just repeat, all the time.
Repeat. Yeah.
And we see it nowadays, just running its course,
And the very strange thing is you'll have these super mainstream, like you got this DMT dope smoking guy like Rogan and Tucker, who's this Fox News, whatever. And I don't trust Tucker. I know a lot of people thinks he's like seeing the light and all this stuff.
Sure. He does say certain, some
when
things.
He says something that's good and right,
Awesome.
I can say, thank you. That's great. Thank you for saying that. He's a really smart guy, and some of the stuff he says, I'm like, man, I think he's way too smart for that. But I'm not that smart of a guy. So I mean, and that's the weird thing, that like the people that make all the excuses for Trump, like, yo, man, that guy's way smarter than I am, and I can connect these dots very easily. And like I work a full-time job. I make really, really, really good money, and I'm thankful for that. I got 6 kids.
Yeah.
I got a wife. We're happily married. We live on a farm. We try to raise our own food. We have animals.
Yeah.
We do fun stuff. Right. And how do I have time I go to church.
How weren't you
I study
tricked
and pray.
when
I read my Bible. Like,
that
where do I
happened?
get all this extra time to figure out all of this blatant, conspiratorial, realistic stuff that I'm like, how do I have time to figure this out? But these people in these upper echelons of power that should have vast resources to endless data,
literally
endless people, right?
Oh, he was tricked,
Yeah. How could I mean, that's so
silly.
obscene and absurd,
sadly.
and that is so retarded.
It
I mean,
is.
that's retarded. That's the best word. Like the fact that you would, all the excuse making in the political circus is like a gigantic joke, and it's
clown world.
Yeah, and it's over and over again.
They do it just to shake their fist at God and then at us too.
Yeah,
be like, haha.
Yeah, they do it to
y'all
mock
are a bunch
us.
of idiots.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's just like the whole thing is like, oh well, they're like politicians are just stupid and they're buffoons, and they're just useful idiots and all. No, they're not.
No,
they didn't get to their positions of power by being dumb. I mean, a couple did. There's a handful that you could point to. Maybe Ocasio-Cortez and maybe
they got
Camel
selected.
Face, and there's a couple. Okay,
soulless.
But before Joe Biden started pooping himself in a diaper, he was a pretty smart guy. Okay. And God has taken his faculties, and God promises to do that kind of stuff. And I pray imprecatory prayers for those people that God would break their teeth in their mouth and break their jaw and all that good stuff, because that's what David did, and and that's what the Bible commands you to do. And they're raping the planet, they're mocking God, and they're doing all these things, and they will suffer the consequences of that.
Yeah, one day.
And I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to participate in the dog and clown show and the little political theater and all the other extemporaneous stuff that's all part and parcel, and the bread and the circuses and the sports ball and every other part of the propaganda arm of the military industrial complex, whether it's Hollyweird, whether it's this national sports league or that national sports league or whatever, with all their patriotism, their fake patriotism, and all these different things. It is just propaganda to fake you out. It's just like in God we trust on the money. It's just like
and
the
on the
pledge,
cop cars and stuff.
it's just like the Pledge of Allegiance that was written by a socialist, and then they inserted one nation under God to play out the Christians, and then you'll still have Christians that are like, all right, a Pledge of Allegiance and all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, that was written by a socialist, man.
Yeah.
And they put that same thing with the money and stamping in God we trust on the money has nothing to do, has everything to do with the God of this world, has nothing to do with the God of the Bible. And and hey, we're in this world, we're not of it, and we need to function. And if we could figure out a way to completely avoid and sidestep the entire fiat system,
there you go.
Sign me up. I'm all about it.
Let it rip. Let's go.
I would love to be completely and exclusively outside that system. And I know there's a lot of guys that talk about it. I've seen single people that don't have any kids that can do it.
Sure.
Okay. I haven't seen any practical families of any scale that can do it.
Yeah.
And if somebody could show me a practical, scalable thing where a family could do that, I would absolutely be, because I know we'll get comments about you can do this or you can do that.
Sure.
I've never seen anyone do it to scale that's trying to raise a family and do all the stuff we do. I mean, because like, for example, okay, Bitcoin's supposed to be off the whatever and blah, 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 but there are only a small handful of entities that even accept and trade and do all that stuff. And so you're still going to have to jump in and out of fiat to transact on certain levels. And that doesn't mean you don't try,
Sure.
But you know, I don't want to go. That's a
Yeah,
totally
I definitely
different,
don't think
rabbit
our
trail.
solution is going more digital. I think because we have even less power in that. I think, you know, we want to decentralize it even more, like beyond more than the dollar bill, you know, back to gold and silver. If we can only make gold and silver more convenient to trade and barter, you know, but, you know, because this is the amazing thing that we still have a little remnants barely with cash is that, oh, you have a trailer? Oh, I want your trailer. You know, here's some cash, instead of being like, oh, I got Bitcoin. Do you got a wallet? And then we're going to trade these, you know, these numbers that are out in the universe. And oh, okay, you got your $100 of the Bitcoin over there. Hopefully nothing crashes next week or whatever, you know, something that's actually tangible, physical, you know, even like we've been doing of lately, is investing this money that is rapidly depreciating in value into physical things like a truck, like a UTV, like, you know, land, you know, different things like that in animals. So,
and what is that? That's localizing the fiat into a localized, tangible. And that's why we have these meetups. That's why we want to meet people.
Absolutely.
That's why we want to network. It's parallel. It's parallel economy, parallel community.
Yep.
When you can barter, if I have eggs and you have something else and I need that and you need eggs, now your monicum of exchange is whatever this whatever value you want to exchange for, and it's completely autonomous. And you know, that's what we're trying to achieve by growing our community. So if y'all are in the Gladewater area on Saturday, May 4th from 10 to 12 at Grumpy's Garden Club, or you can click the link down below for the Exit and Build Land Summit. If you are in Bastrop, Texas on May 17th and 18th, check us out. We're going to be at the Exit and Build Land Summit.
It's worth the drive, even if you're decently far. There's people from all around the United States that travel there.
Yeah, all over.
It's all over the place.
We met a lot of great people last time.
A lot of great people.
And it was a lot of fun. And it's a beautiful venue. Very nice. And we're looking forward to it again.
Definitely.
And hey, we love and appreciate y'all. And any closing thoughts or words, Matt?
Yeah, just definitely not to get discouraged and just focus on yourself. And the only thing that, you know, you can control is yourself, you know, and what you do every day. And, you know, when you're starting to feel sad or depressed or something, you know, pray to the Lord, read the Bible. You know, that's what I do. Audiobook on the Bible, read the Bible. You know, that is our blueprints for our life, you know, to go by, to follow is the Bible, you know, and Jesus is the closest friend that you will ever have, you know. So also, if you're feeling depressed, you know, pray to him. He wants to hear from you. So the more you pray to him, you know, the more feedback he'll give you and all types of awesome stuff. You know, growing closer to the Lord is always there's no downside to it. There's no downside. And
that's great.
There's a little bit of something for the end of the podcast.
Words to live by.
Yep.
From a wise man beyond his
years. Trying, figuring it out.
All right, y'all. One last thing.
All right.
Stay fearless, my friends.